Let's start solving questions 27 to 31 of Reading Academic Test 1 of Cambridge IELTS Book 18. The question type here is matching information or which section contains the information. Almost always, this is the question type I choose to do last because it helps to be a little familiar with the passage before I start with this question type. I've already solved questions 32 to 40 of this reading passage. The first thing I do in this question type is read and understand all the questions. The first 2 to 3 words of the question tell you what kind of information you are looking for. Are you just looking for a reference to something, which means that thing will just be mentioned there? Or you're looking for an explanation or a description, which means you'll find some details of it or some reasons given for it. The second part of each of the statements may help you locate the answer. On your screen, the words which I'll keep in mind as I scan the passage for answers are underlined. The 28th question mentions a person's aims, which means there will be the name of a person wherever this answer is. This information is not very useful in this particular passage because a lot of names are mentioned in this passage. While doing questions 36 to 40, we read about a lot of people in the passage. The 30th question talks about tracking objects in space. This is something which I think I have read in section F while looking for answers to questions 36 to 40. And lastly, for the answer to the 31st question, I'm looking for maybe different names for space junk, some categories, some groups that it is divided into. With all of this in mind, I start looking for answers. I've already done questions 32 to 40 of this passage, and interestingly, I have not read the first 3 paragraphs at all. So I'm pretty sure at least one of the answers will be A. So what I'll do is I'll start from the beginning of the passage. I'll read the beginning of each paragraph and scan through the rest of it. And if I feel the information about any of the statements in the question is mentioned in that paragraph, then I'll read it carefully. Let's start with section A. It has 2 paragraphs. The beginning of first paragraph tells me that a lot of satellites were sent into orbit last year. The beginning of the second paragraph is, all that traffic can lead to disaster. Disaster can refer to a major collision that is mentioned in the 29th question. So I start reading the second paragraph of section A to confirm my answer. The parts of the paragraph which help me confirm that the answer to the 29th question is A are in bold on your screen. Also on your screen are the words from the question and the paragraph which helped confirm the answer. For example, the question mentions collision and the passage mentions smashed into. Let's start with section B now. The first sentence tells me that researchers are trying to come up with new ways of solving the problem of space debris. At least 2 questions, the 27th one and the 31st one, talk about things which are being done, about efforts and trying to improve things. So once again, I start with each sentence of the paragraph, trying to understand what is broadly being said in it. And those parts are in bold on your screen. In the second sentence, it is mentioned methods for assessing what is in the orbit. This could refer to classifying space junk. And later, taxonomies of space debris are mentioned. Taxonomy is the science of naming and classifying things. This is what is mentioned in the 31st question. If you do not understand the meaning of the word taxonomy, look at all the other information in the paragraph and you will realize that you could have gotten the answer without understanding the meaning of this word. Properties of debris are mentioned, size and shape is mentioned, and as I said, in the same paragraph, assessing what is in the orbit is also mentioned. All of these could mean classifying or putting things into groups. Let's start with section C now. In section C, even as I was just reading the first sentence, I noticed companies, governments, and other players mentioned, and the word collaborating mentioned. This talks about cooperation or many different people working together to improve things. The answer to the 27th question is C, and we primarily get it from the first sentence itself. The words which helped me confirm the answer are on your screen. One confusing thing here is that when I was reading section B, there was a lot of mention of several teams, some researchers, and others, which made me wonder if the answer to the 27th question is B. But there were two reasons I was sure it is not. One, the word taxonomies is mentioned in section B, which refers to the 31st question. And two, the word collaborating in section C clearly refers to cooperation. Let's start with section D now. Section D has only one paragraph, and this paragraph is saying that if we know where all the debris is in space, the problem of collisions, etc., can be solved. The 30th question talks about tracking objects in space, which could mean finding out where things are in space. But the question mentions a comparison between tracking objects and transportation system. There is no such comparison in section D. So I move on to section E. The first sentence itself tells me that space traffic management is being compared to managing traffic on roads and in the air, which is what is mentioned in the 30th question. The answer to the 30th question is E. So this one was rather easy. Since I had already read section E, while looking for answers to questions 36 to 40, I already had some idea that the answer could be here. We are now just left with one question, which is the 28th question, which says an explanation of a person's aims. We are talking about what a person aims to do or plans to do. The thing is that there are a lot of people mentioned in this passage, and there could be a mention of something that should be done in future for any of them. We need to get specifically what the aim of a person is. So we need a mention of a person's aim along with an explanation of the aim. The second paragraph of section F, which is the last paragraph of the passage, has this in quotes. I want to make space a place that is safe to operate, that is free and useful for generations to come. Want to and for generations to come tell us that this is about the aim of this person. So first he says that he is a space environmentalist, and then he explains what he means by that. A minor confusion could come from the word intentions in section C. But here the intentions being mentioned are the intentions of the operators of satellites, not intentions of one person. Even though where the word is mentioned, Craig's name is mentioned, we are not talking about his intentions or his aims. With this, we have solved all the questions of Test 1 of Reading Academic of Cambridge IELTS Book 18. I'll be uploading the answers to the other tests of this book soon. That's it for now. Hope this helped you. All the very best.